Hi, I'm Mitch Gallagher. Welcome to the Sweetwater Minute. Special guest is with us here today. This is Danny Gokey. Great to see you.
Good to be here with you, Mitch. Thanks for taking some time with me.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I appreciate you taking time. You're here for the Winter Jam Spectacular tonight.
Yeah, we're actually in the last week of the tour. We've been on, it's 44 shows. We're at, today I think is show number 40.
Wow.
Or 41, I can't even keep track. I think it's 41 now. And so we're getting ready to finish this up, and as much as I love touring, I also love taking a break.
Right. Get a little rest, right?
Yeah, what need to, man. Especially, I got my kids on the road with me. My wife's pregnant. I got, a new album coming. I mean, it's just like, I feel like everything's crashing for this first quarter of this year to be pretty busy. So when I get home, I actually get like an 8-day period off.
Nice. Nice. And you're back out in April, right? April 4th or something like that? 5th?
Well, to actually start, to launch the album, it's actually start doing promo. And it's just like heavy promo.
Right. Tell us about the album.
Well, the album is, I actually just signed with Capitol Records on this one. Nice. So this is my third official record deal. It's interesting when some people recognize me from the TV show American Idol, some people don't, because, there was this gap where I did American Idol, I signed with the record deal, and the record deal fell through, and I went silent for a few years. Mm-hmm. So, and then I got signed, so that was a Sony RCA deal, that didn't work. Then I signed with BMG, and that actually worked. But it was actually 5.5 years after American Idol I got my first #1. So that's actually an unheard of story, especially in the American Idol story.
Right.
It's either you do good after the show or you don't do good at all.
Right.
But I just thank God for was a sovereign hand in it all, and I completed that deal, recouped on that deal, which is thank God, because that's a difficult thing to do.
Definitely.
And then that actually set me up for Capitol, which now I'm releasing the new record with Capitol. So it's my first one with Capitol. It is a machine. Capitol Records they've been doing it for a long time, and they know what they're doing. I'm so glad I signed with them. I made the right choice, thank God.
Oh, congratulations.
And I'm glad that they chose me as well, because, it's an honor, because I know that, it's tough to land a record deal. So
yeah.
We started working on the record, and it's probably my favorite one yet. And I know,
nice.
I just feel like there's a lot of special moments on it. We got to work with a lot of great writers, producers. Mm-hmm. Got to get some good lyrical content. I think that's the key. Like, how do you, when you write a song and when you make an album, it's like, how do you make something, everything's been talked about. So the key with songwriting, it seems like, and that I feel like we achieved on this record, is you write something that's already been said, but in a fresh way.
Right.
And, and I shouldn't say that everything's been said, because I feel like we got a few unique ideas on the record. And so I'm really excited about this one. It's already hitting off, now that music has changed and that we're, it's not just releasing a record anymore. We've already released 3 songs to the digital platforms, and those songs have just done so well. Nice, nice.
The most recent one is Haven't Seen It Yet, correct?
I haven't seen it yet.
All right.
So I haven't seen it. It's actually the one that's went to radio, and that's probably I would assume my fastest growing radio song.
Nice.
That I've had. And then we released 2 to the digital platforms as well. New Day, funky and soulful.
Right.
And then Wanted, it's a ballad that's honestly like, grab your tissues, because it's gonna make you cry.
Bring out those emotions.
Yeah,
right.
it'll I was talking to Billboard today, and I did an interview with them because they're writing up an article for the record release, and she was just mentioning, she's like, well, I listened to Wanted, and I really, it got her emotional.
Right, right. Well, that's a big part of what songwriting is about, right? Is you want to reach out and touch people, and particularly in the CCM market.
Yeah.
You have to connect with people and connect with the message. Talk a little bit about that. How do you orient the lyrics, or what do you think about as you're doing that when you're writing?
So for me, it's very specific. What I do before I write a record, all my records that I've done, I should say the last 3 records I've done, Hope in Front of Me and Rise, and now this one, is I ask God. I'm a person who has faith in God, and I say, God, what do you want to say? Because to me, like, I could say whatever I want to say, but does it really matter? Mm-hmm. I guess it does to a point, but I want to make an impact. And so I don't hear audible voices from God. It's something that you believe when you say, okay, God, I believe that you're going to give us, the words and the messages that we need, and we go into a room. And that's really how it started. And I'm telling you, the impact that we are getting in the messages, it's like, wow. I mean, I feel like we tapped into something special.
That's great. That's great. So a lot of the songs that I'm looking back through your catalog are co-writes. Tell us a little bit about the process of co-writing with someone. Do you go in with an idea? Do they come in with an idea? Do you just walk in the room and say, hey, we're going to write a song? Or how does that work?
So I a lot of times I try to spearhead. I walk into a room and I try to spearhead with ideas that I have. Mm-hmm. But I say, what do you guys have for ideas? Because I'm always thinking, like, because if I'm going to ask God what to say, I got to have a listening ear, and in the sense of, like, I got to be able to pay attention. All right, maybe I need to, maybe God will download something to me that I need to write down. And so, yeah, so I think with all that being said, we go in there and we'll just talk, and we'll bring the ideas to the table. And because to me, like, I don't, I like to write, but I'm not like the Taylor Swift level of writing where she'll go and write a song all by herself, and she has that gift. She's really prolific writer. I have a gift of writing, but I want to go to other people and say, help me make this better. And so that's really the process that we go through, and it's a really special process.
All right, that's awesome. So writing the song is one thing, producing it for a recording is something else. Tell us about the process of taking it from the writing room into the studio.
Now, I'll tell you this. I'm the kind of guy that I depend heavily on the producer. It's a team effort in the Gokey camp. And because the reason why I'm bringing this producer to the table is because you have something that I don't have. The reason why I'm bringing this writer to the table, because I'll do a me, writer, producer, is because you have an ability that I don't have. And when we come together, we sharpen each other. And so the producer I'll really use his techniques and to really dial it in. And then, because since they do have a better map and direction and intuition of where to take a song, then I build off of that and I begin to give my feedback and say, I love this, don't like that. And here's what I would say, like, because, a lot of times people think, well, if you're not writing all your songs, you're not producing them, you're not a true musician. That is just not true. With the world that we live in, the greatest thing you can do is actually team up with people better than you. Team up, because there's a sound that can be made and a song that can be created that is more powerful than just you alone taking a stab at it. Not saying that that can't be powerful in itself, but we are made. See, this is not, I think a lot of times the music industry, but this is something I've learned in my faith and my church. This is not, we're not made to compete with each other. We complete each other. And so I've learned that this producer and this writer and me coming to the table, we complete each other and actually make something that's actually, I feel better than just one person taking a stab at it.
Right.
I just think that's an important principle. And I know in this music, there's a lot of, how do I know? There's a lot of ego in our music industry, and how I know it's because I'm a musician, I have ego,
Sure.
and it's actually can be the downfall. It can be the beauty of what you do is that you're so good at what you do, but it also can be the downfall. And so really trying to involve people in the process to me is key. I have a family, I have kids. I got 3 kids, one on the way. I have other passions, music is my first passion, but I have other passions that follow close by, like, nonprofit work and charity and things that I'm working on that, to me, that I feel like complement the music. So the best way to go about accomplishing that kind of vision is to have teams that can do that. And so for me, when I look at my career, I don't just look at it as I'm Danny the singer. I look at it as I'm the entertainer, artist, but also, I guess I wish I could figure it better, but a philanthropist. I want to make a difference. I want to use my platform, my stage, to help other people because people have helped me get here.
Sure.
Pay it forward.
Right. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So once you've got the song recorded, then the next step is to take it on to the stage. And what is the process of going from, when you do a fully produced recording to then having to make it work live?
It's exciting. It's like giving birth.
Yeah.
Honestly, like you go on stage and you're getting ready to go on stage and have a baby in front of everyone and say, You haven't heard this one, but I'm just going to put my baby in front of you and you're going to tell me what you think about it. And that's,
Right.
It's daunting, but that's the whole process. I mean, I think with me, with us musicians, we do have to grow a little bit of tough skin. Otherwise we will crumble under the pressure of opinion.
Right.
Which is, if you can move ego out the way, you can start becoming secure in your strengths and also secure in your weaknesses. I love going on stage. I know that I'm a singer. I sing, and I'm not a musician. I can't go up there and belt it out on the guitar though.
Right.
So I stay in my lane, and I love giving birth to new songs on the stage. I like to share stories behind when I'm introducing a new song. It's not just going to a new song. It's here's this new song. Here's how it came to be. I want to share it with you guys. I hope you like it.
Right.
If you don't, don't tell me.
Don't want to know.
I'm just joking.
That's awesome. So the key to that, though, is if you're going to stay in your lane, you've got to have people to fill those other lanes. How do you find those musicians that make up your band? Because you have, what do you have, 5 or 6 musicians?
I got 6
that are
musicians on stage.
Yeah.
I got saxophone, horn, so trumpet, sax, bass, guitar, piano, drums. And I want to expand that. I want to get some background singers. Thank God for tracks and stems and track rigs, because imagine bringing 20 people out on the road. We'd all go bankrupt.
Right.
What I do when I pick, the good thing with me is that I'm not in a band with other guys. when you look at bands, you know, like let's say there's a band out there and they're all equal part owners because they all came to the table, they all decided to start a band. If one is not that good, well, he's an owner. You can't get away with that. Me, I own this thing. That sounds cocky, but it's not. Let me get to my point. I tell my MD and I say, pick me out musicians who can crush it. I don't want cute. I want guys who are well-versed gospel, jazz, pop, funk, soul. Like, they need to be well-versed so that we can go from here to there to there. And I kind of like that. I love to hear the compliments that my band gets because my band, you know, they're really good. And I think that adds an element. It only complement. Like once it's not a competition, they complete me. You know, I'm not competing with them, they're not competing with me. They complete me and it makes the sound even better. A well-skilled musician, man, can just make, and you don't have to be doing all these runs and all these things. You can just be in the pocket and just, it's just buttery, you know?
Right. Yeah, that's great. That's great. One of the interesting things about Winter Jam this year is that you have about a 40-foot square in the round stage with two 40-foot ramps coming off, right? Tell us about working a stage like that versus the traditional facing the audience stage.
Well, it was, when I walked to Winter Jam, I was like, oh, I'm dreading this. I do not want to do this. Are you kidding me? Like, I got to go. I like the front stage. I have my show ready. But I knew deep down inside that when you have to get out your comfort zone, you have to grow. And I knew it was going to cause me to grow. And so I really went into it this year saying, all right, it's time to embrace this and actually love it. The thing that I did not like, I love now. And it really makes me want to do another, like if I had to do my own tour, to explore that in the future.
Yeah? Yeah, you like the in the round thing? And I've seen some of the energy with all your musicians, and you guys are covering the stage. I mean, you're all over the place.
Dude, we cover that stage. You have to. And that's what I think, you know, with, there was no cheating on this one. You know, you can hide parts of yourself to the backstage, but not here. It's all exposed. You are completely exposed. Every corner is exposed, everything.
Right.
And you can either become better or you can just gripe and complain and just make it all about you. And I knew I didn't want to do that because I've done that enough in my life. You know, you know, with us musicians, I'm not trying to speak for them, but we're one of the, you know, we have a beautiful expression, musicians, artists, but we also have that other side where the other expressions of, you know, the insecurities, the, you know, let's go to the egos, the wanting to be liked, it has to be dealt with, you know? And so, like, for me, this was an exposure of, like, things that I did not want to deal with on the stage. Like, man, my back is to them now. I got to think of them, think of them, think of them, think of them. And it was good. It made me grow.
Well, that's awesome. You mentioned insecurities, and probably more so than just about anyone, you've dealt with that because the Idol situation is a lot of pressure and that kind of thing, and you came up through that and developed your career. Talk a little bit about conquering those insecurities and how you can develop that confidence.
Man, I wish I could tell you I had every answer, but I could tell you this. I'm not where I should be, but I'm not where I used to be. And one thing I've learned to do, and I think this started in church. Let me tell you where it first started with me. I remember being in church, and I remember I was the lead worship guy at the church. And, you know, and our church was really talented. We had a lot of musicians. There's this other guy who came on the scene, and this guy, amazing, still a friend of mine to this day. And he was on The Voice. Like, he did really well on The Voice. And so you can imagine the caliber of musicians we had at our church in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, all places. But I remember when he came to the table, like, people were really excited about him and not excited about me anymore. And that really was like, I mean, you want to talk about insecurities coming out, like, does anyone care? Does anyone, oh no, am I just going to go to the back? And I just said, no, celebrate with everyone else, celebrate this guy's talent. And I did that. The key that I've learned is to celebrate other people in the room. Because like I said, you're not going to take my place. I'm not going to take your place because what you have to offer is much different than what I have to offer. Sure. So being secure in that, and I've had to go through the ringer. And does it start that way? Let's just be honest. When you walk into a room, everyone, you know, if it's all musicians, because I've been on a stage, I had to go back for the finale. That was, you know, when they did the finale a couple of years back in 2016. Man, I'm telling you, just walk into a room, you just feel this big. You know what I mean? Because you're like, these guys are singing better than me. They're more talented than me. But I just learned to go in there, build people up, encourage them, compliment them. And because that'll take down walls. So being on this Winter Jam tour, it's a big arena tour. There are 10 acts, 10 artists. Right. So you take that same approach. And you do. You actually learn from some of these people. Like what I've learned, hey, best thing you do is go in here and actually know what you're not good at, see what they're good at, and glean from them. So you can become better as a musician and an artist. Right.
Right.
That's what I try to take away. I sure haven't conquered it though. I'll tell you that. I'm working on it though.
Right. That's a challenge, isn't it?
It is.
For all artists and all musicians. So I'm curious, you have an extensive catalog. If my count is right, you have 4 albums and a Spanish language album and then the new album coming out. So you've got a number of songs to choose from.
Yes.
And on a show like Winter Jam, you have 25 minutes, something like that, half an hour for each of the bands does, right?
No, actually I have the second longest set of the night besides the headliner.
Is that right?
Yeah.
So how do you pick the songs to fill that when you have that many options?
So, you just go and you do edits.
Yeah.
I told my MD, I said, all right, I think we get 8 songs in 25 minutes.
Wow.
Which is pretty good.
That's a good clip, yeah.
And I do some talking, but what you do is you take songs off the older albums, you edit them down so that they don't miss that. I introduced 2 new songs. They're not new songs anymore because they're not out. But when I started this, they're brand new songs. You introduce the 2 new songs, and you give them the full 2 new songs. You do a setup, the songs, and so it was just about picking out what I felt would make the show the most smoothest. And there was a lot of back and forth between me and the music director.
Right, right. So how essential is it, you're cutting those songs down, but obviously there's an essence to that your fans are going to recognize and expect you to play. How close do you have to stick to what's on the recording when you go live?
Yeah, that's a good question because, as a band, one of the things, I remember I went and saw another artist in concert, and I won't name them, very big, very popular artist. I mean, probably one of my favorite all time, and is really well known. And this artist released an album a long time ago, but still is touring that artist. I was touring that record because it hasn't really put out a lot of records since. I went and saw him, this artist, and I remember thinking like, man, the arrangements are so different. I wanted to hear the originals. Right. But I knew what the predicament of this artist was because they'd been doing it so long that they need something fresh. You tour a record for 20 years, like you gotta switch up, make it fresh. And I've noticed for myself, it's that balance of how do I make sure I don't get too far from the script because it feels good to me, but people who are seeing me for the first time are they want to have that first encounter moment and like, this is the song that got me through. And if it's too much change, it's like, it's like, man, I didn't get that experience that I wanted. So it's a balance between that. We do make subtle changes, but not big changes.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So you've, with all your experiences in the business through the years, you've interacted with a lot of top-tier artists and on these tours and things, and you're operating at a very high level yourself. What is it that makes a great artist?
Wow. What makes a great artist? I battle with this one. I'm going to say 2 schools of thoughts because I think humility makes the greatest person ever. Humility looks good on everybody. In the music, there's not a lot of humility. I could go so many places here. I don't want to get weird. But let's just get weird for a moment. Let's just stick with me.
Let's get weird.
Because I don't want... Think about this. So, man, stick with me, all right? Because I don't want you to turn off the... Lucifer was the head musician, right? Okay. Pride came in his heart. He was when you study our faith, the greatest musician. When he moved, music came, everything. The scripture said the glory of God hit Lucifer first and then all the other angels. So imagine how beautiful of a sound that he made. He literally, when you describe him, I've heard people describe like pipes in his, like, incredible. Pride fell, right? Cast it out. But I've seen musicians do really great in pride. You know what I'm saying? And they pride themselves in their pride. But as great as that is, I think what makes a musician great is humility. Because humility causes growth. Humility means that you don't know it all. Humility means that like you're not the best, and you're not the best. Even if you are the best, you know that somewhere in this galaxy that there's a better musician than you. Right. You know, like there's an angel who could move his pinky and like sound way better than your entire band. Right. I know this is sounding spooky, but what I'm trying to, my whole point of this was, humility can take even the most greatest musician and make him even greater and more of a refreshment to other people. Because when you hear about the prideful musicians who are really good, you hear about how much of a jerk they usually are. Right. Let's just be honest, right? You hear about how great they are, but you hear like crazy stories. And could you imagine being that person, whoever they are, whoever you want to, what story you want to think, whatever you picture as your best musician, imagine if they wanted to even be better and pursued that better. And then when they got around people, they refreshed everyone around them because they were humble. That is the key. Right. And I want that. I want that. Not just because I want to be a better musician, because I just want to be a better human being.
Right. Nice. Nice. I like it. I like it. My last question for you is, there are a lot of songwriters out there, a lot of singers, a lot of musicians who aspire to record and have record deals and go on tour and things. What advice do you have for them?
Whew, man, what advice? Man, I'm going to have a little bit of different advice, but I'm just going to give it to how it happened for me. When people are born, there's already a manual written for their life. God has the best manual. And for me, when I grew up, I remember part of my faith, part of my journey, and I will not deny this, is I remember God telling me, serve the local church. Go and use your gift and build up other people with your gift. Use it to sing songs. You know, I sang a lot of gospel songs, sang at church-led worship. And literally what I felt was like, if I focus on what God is telling me, he's going to build my dream. If I work on what God needs me to do, he's going to build my dream. And that's literally what happened. God can open up doors that no man can shut. He's the greatest hustler to have on your side,
Right.
for lack of better terms.
Right.
You and I, what could take us a lifetime could take God one moment, one door to open, one person in your life could catapult you to a new place. And that's my story.
Right.
And I look back and I see that, and I can only say this: follow the plan that God has for your life, because it is the best plan, and it'll get you before people that you never dreamed of meeting. It'll get you on stages you never dreamed on performing on. And I think a lot of people think, oh wait, if I I have this dream to do rock or pop. If I follow God, that means I can't do that. No. What if God wants you to do it, but he just wants to do it with you? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, don't think you got to go change now and put on like a choir robe, and you got to go, you know, oh, well, now I'm singing for Jesus. You can actually sing for Jesus and sing love songs. You can actually sing for Jesus and sing. We just put God in a box. And what I'm trying to say is take God out the box and pursue him and watch him open doors, watch him land you in your destiny, because that's my story.
Right.
I lost my wife. That was the pivotal point. Thought my life was over. And that was actually that moment where my life became, where destiny met me, and my career actually blossomed out of that moment.
Right.
Out of a very painful moment in my life. And all I'm saying is that there's going to be painful moments, but God's got a good plan.
Sure.
And here's the thing, if you do it God's way, you're going to bless a lot of people. You're going to make a lot of people happy, you know, and there's going to be a lot of great relationships, not a lot of torn relationships, not a lot of, you know, you think about like a lot of the vices that musicians have because of we carry so many emotions, we carry so many, you know, for you to be honest, and I get to do some pretty cool things, but I'm not the biggest one out there by far, and I know that. But what I'm saying is, like, even I have things that, you know, emotions that try to take me down, but with God, you can get through them all.
Right.
You know.
Nice. Inspiring.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much. Appreciate your time today.
Yeah.
Pleasure to meet you.
Mitchell, thank you.
Congratulations on your success and the tour, and tell us the name of the new album.
The new album is called Haven't Seen It Yet.
Haven't Seen It Yet, just like the single that's out right now?
The single that's out right now, you can stream. At this point, I don't know when this interview is coming out, but at this point, 3 songs, maybe by the time you hear it, 4 songs, the whole album, whenever that.
Right.
But we do videos out and all that stuff. So
Looking forward to hearing it.
Thank you, Mitchell.
Thanks again. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me here at the Sweetwater Minute. I'm Mitch Gallagher.